Hello everybody, Teacher Amy here, and I am back. It has been quite a while. I actually just had to go look at my own YouTube channel to see when the last time was that I uploaded a tutorial, and it's been about a year. So I have not been uploading videos lately because most of my videos were based on CamTwist, and I had kind of already done all of the videos for everything that I already knew about CamTwist. I didn't have any new content to put out, so I just haven't been doing videos. And then, you know, we had a pandemic, and then I got 2 new dogs, and now my husband is working in the same space with me, and things have been a little crazy. And then Big Sur happened. So if you're a Mac user, then you know that Big Sur has wreaked all kinds of havoc. For many people, they were able to update their computers and have no issues. I was not one of those people. I had all kinds of issues, and when I did finally get it up and running, CamTwist was not playing nice with me anymore. I wasn't able to use my hotkeys anymore, and that was a big time deal breaker for me. I need to be able to use hotkeys when I'm teaching. So I made the switch, and I am now using OBS, which is what you see here. OBS is another free webcam software program, and it allows me to do my green screen. It allows me to do my Google Slides and all the stuff that I was doing before with CamTwist. I find it much more user-friendly, and also the green screen is a whole lot easier to set up. So a lot of the tutorials that I found when I was trying to go set up OBS for myself were for Windows, and obviously I am a Mac user. That is mostly because OBS was only available for Windows until pretty recently. So I'm here as a Mac user to show you exactly how to set your OBS up to teach in the VIPKid classroom using Google Slides and also green screening. If you don't green screen, you can still use this tutorial. The green screen is actually just a very small part of it because it's so easy to set up. So let's go ahead and get started. So obviously the first thing that you need to do is download OBS, and you can just Google it. Just go to any search engine really and search for OBS, and you'll be able to find Open Broadcast software and go ahead and download it. If you have watched any other tutorials, mostly Windows tutorials, you will notice that they instruct you to also download and install a virtual camera plugin. That's not something that you need. As of this video, which is on March 2nd, 2021, the newest version of OBS has included that virtual cam plugin right into the software itself, so you don't need to do anything extra. So once you have downloaded it, you can open it and you'll see this screen that I have right here, which is the OBS window, I guess you can just call it. These boxes and buttons that are down here are called the user interface, or the UI. Mine are a tiny bit different than you will probably see in the default because it is customizable. So when you open it at first, you will see several of these things here: scenes, sources, controls, scene transitions. There's also an audio mixer. You do not need this for teaching. OBS has nothing to do with audio, and I just didn't like watching all these colors bounce around while I was talking, so I just put it kind of behind my scene transitions here so it was hidden. Once you have this the way that you want it to be, you can, if you want to pick these up and move them, you can, but once you have it the way you want it to be, go up to View and click on Docs and just hit Lock UI, and that way you can't accidentally move things when you don't want to. So if you have used CamTwist in the past, this Scenes box over here is going to be equivalent to the setups that you had in CamTwist. So in CamTwist, I used to have my regular teaching screen, or my normal teaching screen. Here I call it Main. And then I have my reward setup where the reward is big and I am small in the corner, and my props setup where my props are big and I'm small in the corner. And this is all using Google Slides. So we're going to go ahead and set up our main scene first, and then I will show you how to set up your props and your rewards as well. So for me, this is my main scene right here. I also have my reward and my name on screen when I'm teaching, so this is what it actually looks like when I'm teaching in the classroom. It has a really cool function here where you can hit the eye to turn this on or turn it off. If you want to show it, the eye is white, and if you don't want to show it, then there's a line through the eye, and it's really simple to just turn it on and off at the touch of a button. And you can also set hotkeys to turn these things on and off as well, so that you don't even actually have to look at the list at all, which is a really cool feature, super simple to set up. We'll go over that a little bit later. Okay, so I'm going to recreate this scene that I have right here so I can show you how to do it and how simple it really is. So the first thing you're going to do is go over to scenes, and you won't have anything in this box when you first download OBS, so you're going to add the scenes that you want. So I am going to add a new scene that I'm going to call Main 2, just because I already have one set up. I'm going to add another one that I'm going to call Props 2, and one more that I'm going to call Rewards 2. Okay, and I'm going to go back to the main one, and I'm going to go over to the sources box over here, and I'm going to hit plus. I'm going to use video capture device, and I'm just going to call it webcam. And oh, I actually have a webcam in there already, so I'm going to do webcam 2. I'm going to hit OK, and it's going to ask me to choose the webcam, and I'm just going to use my FaceTime camera that's built right into my computer. I'm going to hit OK. And now here you can click on the filters and you can play with whatever you want to do in here. I like to have a sharpen on there, so I can slide this up a little bit. This looks a little bit fuzzy, I feel like. That looks a little bit better. You can do some color correction here where you can bump up your gamma or your brightness or whatever you want to do, however you want to make this look. You can just kind of mess around with this according to your particular lighting situation and so forth. So I'm not going to mess around with it too much. That looks pretty good for right now. Now I am kind of not in the center of the screen here. So if you just click on this image and you move it around, it's not going to change the size, it's just going to change the position on the screen. If you want to change the size, you can just grab one of these corners or any one of these red dots over here. However, I have a door and a wall that I don't want to show in the classroom. And also, this camera is showing a rectangular view, and we need a square view for the classroom. So I'm going to first make this as big as it will go. Then I'm going to hold down the Option key on my keyboard, and then I'm going to grab the corner. Now, as I grab the corner, you're going to see that it is cropping the picture, so it's not changing the size, it's just showing, it's like zooming in basically and showing you only a portion of the picture, and it's turning green on the side here so that you know that it has been cropped. I'm going to do the same thing over here, holding down Option on my keyboard, and I'm on a Mac, so remember that's a Mac command. On a Windows you would use Alt. And I just pulled in the sides a little bit here so that you can see, you can't see any of the outside stuff. Now, to make this perfect, I would open up the practice room in the VIPKid classroom. And before I open the camera here, I'm going to come back over here to the controls. Now that virtual camera plugin that I was talking about at the beginning of the video, this is where it's built in. So if I hit right here, Start Virtual Camera, now when I open my camera here, you will be able to see me in the classroom. If I turn this off and I hit Stop Virtual Camera, it's not going to show up in the classroom. So make sure that that is a habit that you make, that when you start teaching for the day that you start your virtual camera so that it can show up in the classroom. And this actually looks pretty good. I'm going to just make this a little smaller so I can see what I'm doing over here. And I'm just going to pull this out just a tiny little bit so that black bar on the side goes away. And once it looks good in the classroom, you can, first of all, exit the classroom and get rid of it. And then there's a really cool feature in OBS where you can lock this. So this is how you want your camera to look, so you don't want to accidentally bump it over or resize it or anything. So if you lock it, then you won't be able to click on this, move it around, do anything else up here. Okay, so now that your webcam is all set, let's put that small reward over in the corner. Now, if you don't want to have your reward on screen when you're teaching, you can totally skip this step. I just like to have it there to reference, to tell my kid, don't forget you can get a star or whatever during class. So I'm going to go over to sources here, and I'm going to hit plus, and I'm going to go to window capture this time. And I'm going to call this small reward 2. And if this is the very first time that you're setting up OBS on a Mac, you will have to give OBS permission to record your screen. And you do that by opening up your system preferences, going to security and privacy, and scrolling down to screen recording, and then clicking this box next to OBS. You might have to put in your password and unlock this in order to do that. But once that has been set, then you also want to double check that this one is checked here for show windows with empty names. And then when you click on this drop down, you should be able to find the window that has your reward in it. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, when you use Google Slides, I like to use one window for my rewards and one for my props. So I have them set up here on my computer in small windows kind of down in the corner, and I have them in tabs so that I can change the reward from class to class. I make them small just so they're kind of out of the way, and I just kind of lock them down here in the bottoms of my screen. So now that I have chosen that window, I'm going to bring it back up to the top so you can see it, and I am going to crop it. So I'm going to hold down Option on my keyboard, and I'm going to pull this down so you're only seeing the actual slide part of that window and not anything extra. I don't want the menu or anything on there. Now I'm letting go of Option, and I'm just going to pull the corner so I can make it small, and I'm going to put it over here. Okay, cool. Now that's there. I'm going to lock it up. And the last thing that I like to do is have my teacher name on screen. Again, totally optional, but if you want to do it, you can hit plus, hit text, call it name 2, and type down here, and select the font. It can be any font you want. It really doesn't matter what it looks like. Just make sure that your font size is pretty big. That way when it shows up on your screen, after you hit OK and hit OK, it'll be big enough that you can shrink it down. Whoops, that was too far. Now it's upside down. There we go. And put it down here in the corner. And again, lock it up. And you can also change the color too. If you click on the name in blue, there is a select color button right here, and you can change it to be, whatever color you want it to be. I usually have mine kind of like a tealy color, I think, or purpley, I forget. Anyway, there you go. So this is your main teaching screen, and this is how you would look in the classroom when you're teaching all the time, unless you're giving a reward or showing a prop. Now, if you are a green screener, I'm just going to quickly go through the green screen setup because it's really simple. But if you're not a green screener, you can skip right over this. You guys are not going to believe how easy this is to set up. You're going to click on your webcam, and you're going to hit Filters. And you're going to go over to add, so we added some stuff here before, some sharpen and color correction and so forth. You're going to hit plus, and you're going to hit chroma key and hit OK. And look, boom, it's already gone. This is so perfect and easy to use. So the first thing that I would tell you to do is to bump your smoothness down to 0, and then you can kind of play around with other things here, your similarity and so forth. So you want this to be like a solid gray color behind you, so you don't want weird shadows like I've got going on here, and you don't want it to spill over too much, because once it starts to spill over, then it's going to start doing weird things to your hair and your clothes. So right here is that's about perfect for me. And of course, your lighting situation, whatever is going to change how this page is set up for you. You can slide these sliders all over the place. The only things you want to kind of stick to are your smoothness. You probably want it down to about 1, and your opacity you want to be 100. Otherwise, you're going to look kind of ghosty in class. So once that is set how you want it to be, you're going to hit close, and then you should not see any green behind you. It should be black. Now, how do you get an image behind you so that you can put whatever you want up there? There's 2 ways to do it. One is just simply adding a downloaded image into OBS, and the other is to use another window capture to use Google Slides. So I use Google Slides as my background, but I'm going to show you the image capture first because it's pretty simple. So again, you're going to add another source. So you're going to hit plus, you're going to hit image, and I'm going to call this one Ocean because that's the image that I have downloaded. I'm going to browse on my computer, and this would just be any image that you have chosen from Google or Pixabay or wherever you're going to get your images from, and just download it and then choose it from wherever you downloaded it to. So I'm going to hit this one here, and I'm going to make it as big as it goes. But I do want it to try the best we can to stay within these black bars that we have here. So it might spill over a little bit, and that's okay because it's your background. It doesn't really matter a whole lot if you're missing the sides of your background. So once it's there and it looks how you want it to look, you're going to bump it down. So highlight it in blue and then just hit this down arrow until it's the last thing on the list. So it's all the way behind you. And there you go. You can lock it up. Now, if you want to just download a whole bunch of different images and just either show or don't show them, you can do that. You can put an ocean, you can put a clouds, you can put an underwater scene, you can put an outer space scene or whatever. And then when you want to change them for classes, you just turn off the ones you don't want to use and turn on the one that you do. Now that's pretty easy, and you can do it that way if you want to. The method that I prefer is to use Google Slides. So I'm going to go ahead and just take this off of here. And I'm going to do another window capture. So down here in the middle of my screen, I have this file that I had a lot of help creating this file, but I did pare it down to kind of my own personal favorites. So these are all the different backgrounds that I like to use in my classes. And I like it set up this way with this kind of film strip happening on the side. We call this edit mode for the Google Slides, because I can very easily slide through here and look at all the different ones that are available. And I can also do a quick search for them up here. I call this one my generic teaching background, so that's why I was searching for generic earlier. So I'm going to just put this down here. I'm going to add another window capture. So add plus to your sources, window capture. I'm going to call this background 2, and I'm going to choose the one I have that is my backgrounds, which is right here. It's going to give me the whole window, and I obviously only want part of it, so I'm going to hold down Option on my keyboard, and I'm going to just take this tiny little part here and crop it so that we only see this portion of it. Then I'm going to line it up with the edge of my reward, because that's where I know the edge of the classroom is, because that's how we set it up in the practice room. And I've got a little bit of white up here at the top I'm going to pull down, and a little bit of white over here. Make that go all the way to the top. And I'm going to bump it down so it's all the way behind me, and there we go. Okay, so this looks awesome, right? And it was really easy to set up. There's not a lot of shadows going on. There's no like weird things like happened in Cam Twist. The only thing about green screen in OBS that I don't like is Dino. So in OBS, the yellow and the green are very similar, and Dino really doesn't show up very well on screen. I do have a quick fix for that. I can make a little tag on video at the end of this for that, but just be aware that anything that you have that is yellow, I have a birthday cake that I like to use that has a big, like, sometimes it shows, sometimes it doesn't. It depends on how you hold it up. Just be aware, green is not going to show up, and also yellow is also not going to show up. So, all right, now that my background is all set, I'm going to lock it up, and it looks pretty good. I have a little bit of white over here, but I'm just going to let that be for now. Okay, so now we're going to set up the scene where you give a reward. So we're going to make the reward big and you small. A super cool feature of OBS is that you can copy and paste sources from different scenes and put them into other scenes. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go to my webcam that's right here. It's got my green screen and everything in the background. It's not going to remember the image that's behind me, but it's going to filter out the green behind me. So I'm going to take the webcam and I'm going to hit Command C. I'm going to go over to that rewards scene that I named but didn't set up yet, and I'm going to click in the sources box here, and I'm going to hit Command V. And here I am. So there's no green behind me, but there's also no image behind me. I'm just going to make myself smaller. So I'm not going to hold down Option. I'm just going to grab the corner and pull it down so I'm a little bit smaller here. Now go back to your main, and we're going to take this small reward that's right here, and we're going to copy it over to the other one. So small reward, Command C, and rewards, Command V. There it is. Now I'm going to bring this up to the top, and I'm going to make it as big as it can go without going outside the confines of the classroom. And if you want to go into the practice room and make this perfect, you can certainly do that. I'm just going to eyeball it for now. And I'm a little bit behind my reward here, so I'm going to take the small reward and bump it down, and now I'm in front of it. So last thing we're going to do is go back to your main and grab your name. So Command C, go over to rewards, hit in the source box, Command V, and there we are. So this is your give reward screen. So we start off at your main screen here, and then it's time to give a reward and say, guess what? You get to choose a number. And here we are. Great. So I'm going to lock all of these up because that looks pretty good. And we're going to go ahead and make your prop screen, which is the same thing, but it's a little bit different because we are going to reference a different window. So we are going to have to capture a new window for that. So we're going to start at your rewards that you just made, and we're going to take the webcam from here because it's already small, and we're going to copy that, Command C, go over to props, click in the source box, hit Command V, and here I am in the corner. Same thing from the rewards, we're going to grab your name. So get your name, Command C, go over to props, hit in the source box, Command V. All right, so last thing we need is the big props. So we're going to do a new window capture for this. So we're going to hit plus, go to window capture. I'm going to call it big props. Okay. You can name it whatever you want. It totally doesn't matter. And now you're going to choose the one that has your props in it. Hit OK. And we're going to crop it. So this time you're going to hold down Option. Crop to just that slide area there. And same thing as with the reward, you're going to just make it as big as it can go within the confines of the classroom. And again, open up the practice classroom if you want to and make it perfect. I'm going to bump it down so I am in front of it here. And this looks pretty good, so I'm going to lock it up. Okay, so now you have your 3 scenes. You have your main screen, you have your props, and you have your rewards. The first thing you want to make sure that you do is start your virtual camera, like I showed you before. When you go into the practice classroom or the actual classroom, you will need to have your Start Virtual Camera button pressed, or else it will not show up. You also have to make sure that you choose OBS as your camera in the drop-down box in the classroom. So there's 2 ways that you can show it in the classroom. I like to make this window pretty small. It actually doesn't really go very small, but I'll just make it as small as I can. And then I kind of put it up in the corner over here, and then I would open my classroom would be over here. So there is a little bit of overlap, but it doesn't really bother me that much. I really would only be like, if I'm doing this manually, which is the first way that you can use OBS in the classroom, I would just click on the reward when I want to change to reward, click on props, and I would be able to see it changing over here, so I don't need to have it big or be able to see the entire screen or anything, so that's not a big deal. I also have some images over here that I can turn on and off. I can use my fireworks or whatever. You can turn those images on and off just by clicking on the eye over here, but Classroom obviously is going to take up most of the space on your desktop. However, I find that having to click over here on your OBS window scenes list is a little bit cumbersome, so I prefer to use hotkeys. So let's dive into that right now. So I use hotkeys for transitioning in between my scenes that I have set up over here, and I also use them for turning on and off images on the screen. For right now, I'm just going to show you how to use the hotkeys for transitions, and then we will move into images in just a minute. Over in your controls menu over here, you're going to hit settings, and over on the left-hand side, you're going to hit hotkeys. And this will show you a big long list of all of your scenes that you have and all of the sources that are included in all of those scenes. So for right now, you're just going to worry about the one that says switch to scene at the top. So on your main screen where you have switch to scene, you can put any key that you want in here. So I happen to like the simplicity of just using one singular number, but if you want to use a combination like Control 2 or Option F or whatever you want to do, that's totally fine. Just make it something that's going to be easy for you to remember. So for me, I made my main screen 1, I made my props 3, and my rewards 2. So once you put those in there, just at the top of each of your scenes that you have created, you're going to put a hotkey in here. You're going to hit apply over here in the left-hand corner, and then you're going to hit OK. And so now I can very easily switch in between my my rewards, my props, and my main screen. So that is your hotkey for your scene transition. One very important thing that you need to know about the hotkeys is that they will not function if you have anything in your source or your scenes boxes that are highlighted in blue. So if you just clicked on your reward screen and you are trying to use the hotkey to go back to your main screen, I'm hitting my hotkey and it's not doing anything, you need to click somewhere else in the window so that that blue highlight goes away, and then you'll be able to move back to your scene. So just be aware of that. If you are doing this manually, you don't have to worry about that, obviously, because you're always clicking over here. But if you are switching between scenes with hotkeys, you're definitely going to need to make sure that there's no blue highlights over here before you hit a hotkey. In addition to that, you can customize how your screen moves from one scene to the next. So I have this little like swirly thing, spiral I think they call it, on mine. You can make yours different. So if you go over here to your scene transitions section of your UI, there's a drop down here, and there's a couple of pretty standard ones, like cut is just literally going to move from one to the other with no transition in between. There's a fade, a swipe. I think it is normally like defaults to fade. And you can totally leave it that way if you want to, but I just like to customize things, so I chose Luma Wipe. And if you click on the little gear and the properties next to Luma Wipe, there are a whole bunch of them. There's a whole list here, and you can preview them and see what they look like. There's just a million different ways that you can do these, and just pick the one that you like the best. I happen to like this spiral, and I'm going to hit OK. And then for your duration, I like to keep it about 300 milliseconds. It's nice and quick. It gives a little like pizzazz, and then it goes away. So if you make this any longer than this, it's going to just be wasting time in your class. And if you make it any shorter, you won't be able to see the transition at all. So just something to think about. So in addition to my Google Slides, I also have a few images that I like to use on my screen during class. I have a birthday cake that I like to bring up for how old are you? And I use my star in every single class. And I also have some fireworks and a thumbs up that I like to use. You can use absolutely anything that you want to put images on your screen. You just have to make sure that you search for a PNG file, which is an image with a transparent background. So that means that I can put my star up and it just looks like it's floating here. It doesn't have like a white square around the background or anything like that. I find the best PNG images actually don't come from Google. I like to use Bing as my search for that. And I'm going to show you how to add these images into your scene, and then also how to assign hotkeys to them so that you can just hit one key. I just hit an S on my keyboard and my star comes up and then it goes away. So let's go ahead and add those images. So let's say that you want to add a heart to your screen. If you want to say, what is your favorite, whatever, your favorite food or your favorite color, you can very easily add a heart that you can bring up. So let's open up Bing and let's just search for heart PNG. Or you could also search for heart transparent image. Then you're going to go to the images section here and you're just going to open one. Okay, so you know that it's an actual PNG file because it has this checkered background here. So I'm on a Mac, so I'm going to two-finger click on this, and I'm going to download the image. Now I'm going to close this browser, and I'm going to go to my sources under my main scene, and you can have these on any screen. You can have it on your reward or on your pops or whatever. I just mostly use them on my main screen. I'm going to hit plus, I'm going to hit image, and I'm going to call it heart. And I'm going to browse my computer for where I just saved that, which happened to be in my download folder, but you can do whatever you want, wherever you want to save it. And just select it and hit OK. And it's going to show up on your screen, and you can move this around, you can resize it, anything you want to do with it. I like to have my my little pop-ups kind of come up right here so I can point to them. So I'm just going to leave that right there, and I'm going to lock it up. Now, like I said before with these eyeballs, you can see here I have my birthday cake, fireworks, thumbs up, and star here, and they're all eyeball off, which means that you can't see them right now. So if I turn the eyeball off, then my heart is going to go away, and if I turn it back on, it will show up. So like I said before, if you want to just put this up in the corner of your screen when you're teaching and then just hit these when you want to use them, that is totally fine. You just hit the eyeball. But I prefer the simplicity of just hitting a key on my keyboard. And you're going to do that the same way that we just did for the transitions for the scenes before. You're going to go to settings, you're going to go to hotkeys, and now the cool thing about these images that are showing up is that you can use the same hotkey to turn it on and turn it off. So it acts as a toggle. So you can see on my main screen here, I have my S for my star, my T for thumbs up, F for fireworks, B for birthday cake. So now I'm going to add an H for heart. So I'm going to click in this box. I'm just going to hit the letter H. Don't put a shift in there for a capital because then you'll have to make a capital H every time. I'm also going to put an H here for hide the heart, and then I'm going to hit apply over here, and then I'm going to hit OK. And now it has its hotkey assigned. Now, two things that you need to know about hotkeys is that you won't be able to use the hotkeys. They will not work. They won't function if anything in either one of these scenes or source boxes is highlighted in blue. So to get rid of the highlight, you just click somewhere else in the OBS screen, and then the blue highlight will go away, and then you'll be able to hit H, and there's your heart, and then you can hit H again and turn it off. The only other little nitpicky thing that you might want to be aware of for hotkeys is that if you have a heart set on your main screen here and you have a hotkey set to H, let's say that you are doing a reward and you happen to have something that comes up that is a monkey, and you say, oh, I love monkeys. So you go to hit the H because you know that that is a hotkey that brings up your heart. Now, I don't have a heart in this scene here. I only have it in my main screen. However, because I hit the H, even though I'm not on that scene right now, when I switch back to my main screen, the heart is going to be there. So just something for you to be aware of. Try not to use the hotkeys unless you are actually on the scene where that image is included. It's not a big deal. Obviously, if you have a heart that shows up, it's no big deal in your class, but just something for you to be aware of. The last thing that you need to know about hotkeys is kind of an annoying little quirk. I am used to it because it was the same way in CamTwist, so it doesn't bother me. But you do have to click on an OBS window in order to make the hotkeys function. So let's say that I have this over in the corner, like I do when I'm teaching. I put it over here, and I've got my classroom open over here. So if I click on the classroom and I hit an S over here, nothing, you can see it up in the corner of the screen, my star is not showing up there, and that's because I haven't clicked on OBS. So if I click up here on OBS and then I hit the S, you can see my star shows up in the corner here. So it is kind of an annoying little feature that you do have to click on OBS before you hit a hotkey, but I find I use the chat box a lot in my classes. So if I was trying to type to my student and a star would be popping up in a heart and a birthday cake and everything all over the place as I'm trying to type. So I actually kind of like that feature, but it is something that you do have to train yourself on to remember to go click up in the corner before you hit your hotkey. It just, with more practice, the more you do it, it will become second nature. I don't even think about it anymore. I just always click up there before I hit my hotkeys. And, it's kind of annoying, but you got to make it work. If you are a previous CamTwist user, you will remember that we used to have to bring up these blank slides at the beginning of the morning to let CamTwist know, like, these are the windows that we're referencing for the day, so make sure that you're opening the right ones. OBS is smarter than CamTwist, and it does not need these blank slides. Once you give yourself a window to reference, it just remembers this window, and you won't have to set it up ever again. Just be aware that you want to keep these windows where they are, and you don't want to close or resize them because it will mess up your settings. So I like to add a second desktop to my computer so that I have like my things that are set for teaching and that I don't want to have messed up. I can set up a second desktop. I do have a video on doing that if you want to check it out. It's called Mission Control, but just be aware that you don't need those blank slides if you're going to be using OBS, because OBS is just smarter than CamTwist is. What about Dino? I was really excited about the OBS green screen because it's super simple to set up and it looks really good. I don't have any of these shadowy things and like weird green creeping in that I used to have in CamTwist. Unfortunately, the trade-off is that Dino washes out too. I talked about this a little bit earlier in the video, that the green screen that OBS uses, it kind of filters out some yellow too, and that goes for any yellow props that you might have or any yellow clothing that you're wearing. So I mentioned that you need to be careful about that. So how do I fix it? I teach a lot of younger kids, a lot of level 1 kids, and they all bring their dinos to class with them, and I want to show them that I have my dino too. So what I did was I created another scene. I actually call it the Dino scene over here, and it is an exact copy of what is on my screen right now. The only difference is it takes away my background. So if I click on my Dino screen and or my Dino scene, and I also have a hotkey set for this, so I can just hit D and it will switch to this one. It is the same screen, but there's no background. And yeah, there's green behind me. It looks a little weird, but what I do, and I try to make it as smooth as possible, is I say, oh, do you want to see Dino? Let's look at Dino. And I pull it up and I'm like, yay, Dino. And then I switch it back and the kid doesn't even notice that my background disappeared because it's hotkeyed and it's really quick and simple. They're so distracted by Dino that they're not paying attention to what's behind me. So how do we do that? I will show you. So we're going to set up another screen here that I'm going to call Dino Scene 2. And I'm going to go to my main screen and I'm going to copy my small reward. So highlight in blue, Command C, and go to Dino Scene 2 and paste it in there. Go to my main, take my name, go to Dino Scene 2, paste it in, go to my main. Now I'm not going to take my video capture device from my main scene because that video capture device has the background filtered out and I don't want the background filtered out. So I am going to go to my Dino scene and I'm going to add a new video capture device and I'm going to call it webcam 2 because it's different than the one that I have up there right now. And I'm just going to use my regular FaceTime camera. I'm going to hit OK. I'm going to do these same things that we did at the beginning of the video. I'm going to crop this out, holding down Option, pulling in the sides. And again, you can make this perfect in the practice classroom if you want to, but I'm just going to eyeball it for now. And then I want to make sure that my webcam is in the back so the other things show up in the front. And I'm going to lock it up and now I have a Dino scene. You will have to assign a hotkey to it if you want to make it real quick. Dino Scene 2, so you could, make any hotkey. You go to this, I'm just going to call it 4 because I don't have a 4 yet. Hit apply, hit OK. And now I'm going from my main screen, which looks like this, and this one, which looks a whole lot like it. I have some little color correction and sharpen on my other webcam that I could probably touch up and make it really match, but I'll tell you, the kids have no idea that the background disappears when Dino comes out. You just have to kind of be kind of quick and slick about it. But that's how you can make your Dino work in your classroom. Okay, last thing, and this is a super duper detailing thing that you really don't have to do. It's just something that I decided that I wanted to play around with. You can see here, this is my actual main teaching screen. It's not the one that I set up during this tutorial, and it has purple on the sides here. So if I go over to my regular main screen here, it has black on the sides. And if I switch to my props that I just created, it has black down here. I happen to not like black. I happen to like purple. It's my favorite color. So I added to my props here and my rewards, I added this purple background just so I could have a little color on the screen. If you would like to do the same thing, it's really simple. Just go to whatever scene you want to add the color to, and you're going to hit plus in the source box and then hit color source. Leave it named color source and then select your color. You can pick whatever you want, or you can just grab one of these squares over here and pop it on. Then you just have to put it in the back. So click on it and then hit this button until it's the last thing that's there. And then you have a nice background and you can lock it up. That's all I have for you guys today. I hope this video was helpful. I hope that you're going to find OBS as easy to use as I have. And of course, if you have any questions, feel free to leave comments below, or you can find me in the Obsessed VIPKid Facebook group, which is OBS users for VIPKid. There's a lot of really helpful teachers there that have done a lot of their own tutorials, and they're great with answering questions as well. So thank you for watching, everyone, and happy teaching.